Hey everyone, hope you're having a good weekend. Today's tutorial we're just gonna play with some cubes and some booleans. So I'm gonna just load up Grasshopper and we're gonna type in box. We'll use the center box for this portion. Not worried about dimensions right at the moment. So from here we're gonna type in rotate and just plug in that box into rotate. We're gonna right click on A to change it from radians to degrees. I'm gonna type in 45 for now. And we're going to rotate it around the XY plane. So if we go to perspective view, you'll see two different boxes happening. And then from here, I'm just going to copy and paste that rotate, plug it into the second rotate. And then from the plane, we're going to type in YZ or XZ for the first one. Now to rotate around here. And we're going to repeat that command again. And instead of XZ, we're going to type in YZ. So we'll get kind of a diamond looking cube. So it should look something kind of like that. Okay, and we're able to control the rotations really quickly. So we can make it however diamond like we want. Then from here, I'm just going to go over to union. We're going to make it one shape, and then we're going to play with scale a little bit. So I'm just going to boolean all these cubes together. Okay, just like so. So it has kind of some kind of crystal-like qualities happening. So we can rotate. It should be relatively quick. Some really cool stuff happening there. And then just to make it a little bit crazier, and I'm just going to line these all up, make it a little bit crazier, we're going to populate it with itself. So if we type in populate geometry, I'm going to give it 5 points for now maybe. Okay. And basically we're going to orient that same geometry onto itself, and we'll make it a little bit crazier. So we'll type in orient. Our geometry is going to be the union. So that's all the cubes joined together. And we're going to go from A is our 0, 0, 0 marked by default, and then B is where the points are. So from here, obviously we're getting some kind of craziness happening already. And then within these oriented shapes, what I want to type in is volume. That'll give us our centroid for each one of those shapes. Now I'm just going to scale them in one direction just to give it some height. And our point's going to be the centroid. And we're going to scale in the Z direction, just like so. Now if we were to hide everything except for those scaled units, start to get some really cool things happening. So we'll scale them up a little bit. Okay, and like I said before, if you don't like what it's looking like, all we have to do is just kind of move it around and you'll have all these different variations happening. And if you notice, they all kind of look the same. So what I want to do is rotate them in a series. So we'll type in rotate again. And we're going to type in volume once again so we know which axis we're going to rotate off of. So scale non-uniform, we're going to go off that point. We're just going to scale in XY by default. And we'll plug the geometry into our scaled step. We're going to type in series. Not there. Series. And the count's going to be the number of points we currently have. So that will be the points on the populate geometry. And let's just type in 15 period for now, and that'll be 15 degrees. And we'll change the A to degrees really quickly. Go from here to here, and that'll make it look a little bit more unique. We'll just hide all this stuff. Okay, now if we were to bake this out, just like so, and go to our rendered viewport, close down Grasshopper, start to get these really cool shapes happening really quickly. And from here, all I'm going to do, another thing we might do just to make it a little more cool is take our original union here, and from our orient, we're just going to plug in orient geometry to the union from before, and then from here, that might not work right off the bat. So let's see here. It's fine the way it is. Okay. All right, and then from here, what I want to do is kind of scale them just a little bit taller. And if we go back to our shaded viewport, we can kind of see what's happening. And then the rotation, 15 might not be enough, so let's just change that. And maybe let's put a few more points in here, just like so. So that looks pretty cool. Okay, and so what we're going to do next is, I guess, let's just Boolean them. Let's see, let's do a cube again. So let's reuse some of these cubes we currently have. So the last rotated cube, let's scale that up so it's bigger than what our diamonds are currently. And so let's just plug in the first cube. Let's type in 5 period. See how big that gets. That's pretty big, but let's make it bigger. Okay, just like so. That's pretty big. Let's play with some more Boolean operations. So we'll take all these, and what I want to do is union those together so it's one singular shape, and hopefully it works. Okay, they're not touching, so what we'll do is take that union, and we'll go off our original union. That'll be one shape now. Okay, and they should all be touching, hopefully. Maybe they're not. Okay. Well, if anything. Okay, let's try that again, maybe. So let's take these parts, populate, geometry, orient, and volume. What we're going to do is we're going to populate our big cube. That'll give us points on there. We're going to orient all these new scaled stuff, so we'll need a volume for the rotated diamonds that we just created. We're going to orient them from where they are, from its centroid A, to populate this cube. So you should have something like that. We might want to make the cube just a bit smaller. Okay, and then we're just going to copy and paste the rotate that we had previously, just so we add some variation to them. Okay, and we might do this a few times now. So from here, we're going to orient, or we're going to rotate all those geometries. We're going to type in a length to give us our list length. That's the number of points we have, or we could use the 6, but we'll just do list length just in case you guys aren't familiar with it. And the plane is going to be based off their centroids. So we'll rotate them in a series. Okay, actually we're going to make a new volume based off the orient. That'll be for each. Okay, and then we're going to do this over and over and over again. So what I want to do is take all these, and we're just going to double click on here. Basically, we're going to take all these, plug it back into itself, and then we can copy and paste this without plugging in a bunch of stuff together. And all you need to do is double click again on that again. So we're going to use the same series as we do. So what I want to do is not select the number slider, and we'll select this little battery, and we'll plug and play that again, plug it into rotate. And this time what we're going to do, just like we did at the beginning, is type in XZ for the XZ plane, plug it into here, and we're going to copy and paste that again, bring that over, just like so. And we're going to do the YZ plane now, just like so. Delete out that XZ. And then if we start to rotate on our original series, you'll start to see these things kind of going a little bit crazier than what they were. Okay. And we can hide everything except for the end piece. And we'll leave out our scaled cube at the beginning. So that's looking pretty cool. And if we make it smaller, we'll start to get these really cool shapes happening. Almost comic book like. So bring those pretty close together. Okay. So that's looking really cool. Okay. And then what we're going to do is Boolean difference these out. So if I take the scaled cube, and we're going to take out the Boolean difference for now, and we're going to scale these a little bit later. So if we were to take this and we just bake it, you'll end up with something kind of carved shape like this, which is cool, but we're missing the cubes, or the diamonds in there. So what I want to do is we're going to scale the diamonds down so we get a nice little drop shadow happening in here. So we'll just undo that for now. And then these diamonds, what I'm going to type is volume again, and we're going to scale them so we get that nice drop shadow happening. You'll see what I mean in a minute. And our center is based off that volume. And we're going to type in 0.995, And we'll hide the rotate. Let's see. Maybe we'll be able to see it before we bake. So let's type in custom preview really quickly. And we'll just duplicate that out. Color so we can see. White by default. Actually, we don't need both. So, okay. And then if we just hide these, or we just go to render viewport, and let's scale that. So that's that drop shadow I'm talking about. There we go. So that's looking really nice as a shape. And obviously you can go back and we'll clean this up in a bit, but you can go back and add more. It'll make your model even crazier. Or you can go a little bit less. And again, if you want to rotate that more, just purely visual, obviously, you can start to mess with that. Might slow down your computer like mine is, but pretty easy to make something look cool really quickly, just with some cubes. So I think that's looking pretty cool. I don't want to go, yeah, that shape's pretty sweet. So I'm going to go with that for now. All right, and so I'm just going to turn off our preview, and we're just going to bake out the scaled stuff. And from here, Alright, and we got it all loaded up in Lumion. Looks pretty clean. So we're just going to mess with some materials. I'm thinking this is going to be some sort of rock, or we'll do kind of a brick texture. That might be a little bit too heavy for this particular thing. That looks pretty cool. Or if they got anything a little bit darker. That actually looks pretty sweet. Okay, these are going to be kind of a white texture, maybe some tiles. Let's see here. That's pretty nice. What about concrete in board form? Let's see. Oh, I just saw it. That looks pretty cool. Okay, we'll change the water to water. Alright, since this is kind of just a little water thing in the desert, I'm thinking we'll leave it relatively calm. Make this sand. Oop, not fur. Sand's over here. Yep. I might bring up the texture map on that just a bit. I think that'll look pretty cool. Let's add some plants around the edges. Let's see. Some grass would be nice. This model's pretty big. I didn't check the scale, obviously. Okay, so we'll do some kind of rough texture grass just around the edges here. Just in some areas. Don't have to go crazy on it. Okay. Some bigger kind of patches of something happening. Make it pretty equal. And get some rougher grass in there. Make it dense in some areas so it looks natural. Okay. Do the same for this one. It's kind of random. Okay. Put some these big things in here. Maybe a couple over here. I'm trying to get the same kind of tone happening. Maybe just a couple things randomly throughout the edge here. Do a couple few there. A couple over here. Okay. It's pretty empty. Do the same over on every little island we see here. Sometimes in Lumion, if you don't zoom in, it doesn't show, so let's kind of do it sporadically through here. Okay. Go a couple more through here, and some random ones. Do a couple through here. That's looking pretty cool. Do a couple of these. And a few here. I think that's going to look pretty sweet. And we'll just go up to conifers, maybe throw in, does that look awkward? Yeah, let's just do some like logs, kind of dead on the ground here. Put it over here, maybe it's in here. I can't seem to find any of those logs, I guess. So let's see. Right there. One kind of scale it down, holding L on there. Maybe kind of a small dead one here. And one out in the distance, maybe. A couple. And let's see, get some different ones. One kind of in the water, maybe. A couple good ones here. I thought they had in Lumion just a stack of kind of. It doesn't matter. Okay. Actually, I might delete that one. It's a little awkward. Okay. All right, so let's get some animals in here, maybe some fish for once. A few of these, maybe just in a cluster over here, so you barely even notice them. And let's move them down. Z direction. Just a few. Get some birds. I don't know about pigeons, but that's all right. And we'll bring those up in the Z direction. And we'll use this just to move them horizontally. Just like so. Can't even see the fish, but that's all right. Then I wonder if this library has a small little boat. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Let's add a lady in there for some scale. She's in a swimsuit. Don't need that many. Put her in the distance. Rotate around. Lumion doesn't have the greatest entourage. For faces, at least. Great entourage, but just faces look a little bit too robotic for me. And let's see what that renders out like. So I might change the rock texture just based on what I'm seeing right now. We're going to do a realistic scene here. Let's do 2 point perspective. Let's add some clouds. High clouds, we'll add more of those. Master cloud amount, we'll bring up a few. Low clouds, I don't really want any. Let's see here, cloud brightness, bring that up. Presets. I'll bring that camera a little bit bigger so we get a full scene of what's happening here. And I kind of want a dusty kind of background so it's almost like a storm's coming. So I'm going to add in some horizontal clouds. I'm going to save this camera. Horizontal clouds way out in the background. Bring the amount up. And let's see if we can get some fog happening. Way out in the distance. Okay. And let's get a sun. Get some nice shadows happening. Just like that. Right. So that's looking pretty cool for the amount of time. If this is 60. And just to see what it looks like really quickly. This should render out relatively fast. So the rock's really blending into the actual landscape a little bit too much, so I might make that a brick pattern just to make it pop. So let's go back to our scene. Let's change the materials out just a bit. Let's make it a little bit more man-made unless they have a really nice rock texture. Actually, that looks pretty cool. That might blend a little bit too much. I might change the concrete or make it a little bit more white. Let's go back to tile on that. We want it to kind of stand out. Let's see. And let's just brighten it up a little bit. We'll go to transparency. No, not here. We'll go to settings. Make it a little bit emissive so it pops out. Let's try that out for rendering. Okay, render that out. Let's do 60. That looks pretty cool. Sun might need to change a little bit, and I'm still not stuck on that rock texture unless we can make it a little bit more rough. Let's go back to materials again. Zoom into the scene. Let's see how rough we can actually make it. Let's get some weathering on there. Let's see, weathering, make it stone. Make the edges kind of pop, weathering for sure. Okay, let's try that one more time. If it doesn't work, we'll just go back to, oops, shoot, messed that up. Okay, if it doesn't work, we'll go back to brick, try to give it some kind of texture, bring that up a little bit. That was my bad, messed up the camera. That's right. Okay. Want to fill the scene for sure. Focal length's pretty crazy. Okay. We got some birds happening. It's pretty centered. Let's render that out again. Desktop 60 override. So I think the sun might have to change just a bit. And I might do brick, so, or some sort of tiling, to give it some pattern. Otherwise it gets really lost and we don't see the facets happening. So let's go to outdoor. Let's see what tiling we have here. That looks all right. Yeah, let's try that. Make sure the relief is really coming out. Turn that gloss down. Scale looks great. Let's see if we can add some foliage. Bring the spread up. Not that far. Just a bit more. There we go. Bring the spread way up. Pattern offset. Bring that up quite a bit. It looks pretty random. Leaf type. I wish they had dead leaves. That'd look a little better, but make them pretty lime green for now. Let's go to our photo. Render that out. See what it looks like. We might have to add some stuff in the background, otherwise it looks pretty desolate. 60. So that looks better. Much better. Again, we'll change the sun up just a bit, and quite frankly, we might want to lower it even further. Okay, bring that down to 1. Get some nice kind of shadows happening on the facets. Render that out. 60. I'm liking what's happening here. Okay, bring that up just a hair. And then the clouds, let's make it a little bit more moody, I suppose. Bring in some low clouds, make it dramatic. Sky brightness, make it pretty bright. Let's make it low, so it really contrasts everything. That looks really dramatic. That's great. That looks cool. Okay, let's render that out. Really liking this. Might center out the actual composition a little bit more so it's kind of symmetrical. Just like that. Let's bring that out just a little bit more. We get to see some more landscape. Get some tree or plants in the kind of foreground, hopefully. Just a few. We'll save that. Hit render again. Up in 60. I think that's it. Looking really sweet. So we'll take this over to Photoshop next just for some touch-ups, and I think we'll be done. Alright, so I'm just going to take the burn tool and hold Alt, and basically we're going to lighten up some areas, especially in the sky, so we can tell where the sun's really coming from. Lighten up some of the green areas. One side of these kind of figures that are floating. That looks pretty cool. Get the sky kind of looking nice. Okay, and then I'm going to hit Control J and just to see if we do auto tone, see what happens. I don't really like that, so let's try auto color. It just kind of brightens it up, makes it less warm. Let's just do auto contrast for this particular one. I don't know if I like that either. Okay, let's do it manually. I just want to bring up the contrast just a bit more. A bit more. Bring up the brightness just a bit. And lower it just a bit. Okay, and then as usual, do a little vignetting. So I'm gonna hit Control Shift N for a new layer. Hit B for brush. Do the top and the bottom. And we'll kind of lower that down just a bit. I'm going to go back to here using my burn tool. Let's get some kind of highlights on the landscape. Get a little bit brighter so it's almost disappearing in the distance. Okay. And on our vignette. I'm just gonna hit E for erase. Try to get that top so it looks like it's really popping. And let's get it a little bit brighter in some areas. Zoom into it, get it really bright, bring out those oranges, lighten up that white area or Boolean difference there. And I think this is it. So anyway, thanks for watching. Subscribe to YouTube, tell your friends, subscribe to Instagram, ask questions, and I'll try to keep making more. Hope you have a great weekend, and I'll be talking to you soon.